Oh man, we have bad news for the legendary 5Ds decks. Now make sure you guys smash that little crap out of this subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content coming straight down from Konami themselves due to delays in production, which by the way, I don't... How are we having delays in production? The release for the legendary 5Ds decks will be moved from November 7th to November 21st. This delay impacts English language product in North and Latin America only. It does appear that this will be on schedule if you are in Europe. If you are somebody that is able to, get access to this, congratulations. You will get your product very early. How are we having a delay on this scale? Which is kind of my question being presented here, because this doesn't make any sense. I am wondering if Pokemon just held up the printers more and was like, calm down, Konami. We need to print some more Pokemon product. So that might have delayed, our side of the printer just a little bit, because I'm pretty sure Nintendo's the one that owns the printing facility that, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is piggybacking off of. If you were somebody that's like, well, 2 weeks isn't that great. We're already in a time where product is already massively dragging its feet until Burst Protocol. And that does cause stagnations in the meta and does hurt progression. And it's also going to hurt people that wanted these cards for Genesis format. One of the bigger things that this set does bring to the table is the Meowth reprint, which is a very critically important card that needs to be reprinted, because as of right now, you guys just looked at the pricing on this literally this morning when we were going through this and analyzing it. You already know that Meowth has been pushing $20. So by pushing this back 2-ish weeks, that's another 2 weeks that Meowth is going to maintain this price point. That's going to be another issue. Though, we are heading a little bit more out of the competitive cycle at the moment. I think Pittsburgh is going to be one of our last few events that we're going to have for the block, and that's kind of where we're expecting a Genesis ban list kind of pop out of, is going to be sometime around Pittsburgh or after Pittsburgh, when we actually get, all this tournament data being sorted and everything else. But this also leaves, the only real impactful change that you're going to have between now and through basically this stage is the Fallen of Albaz deck, which comes out literally this weekend. Everything is still on schedule for the Fallen and the Virtuous. You still will see that. At this stage of a delay for this, I'm wondering if we'll see a delay on Phantom Revenge. I'm really hoping that Phantom Revenge does not see a delay, because right now, Enia Craft is one of the last real hopes that we're going to have. We can also toss it in and say, we're kind of looking forward to seeing, the possibility of what Hecka Hands will be able to do later on in the month. But the reality of the situation is Enia Craft is going to be the more impactful one, while Hecka Hands is just going to be kind of doing its thing. TLDR, people. This format is dragging its feet. Realistically, in terms of key reprints that the 5Ds deck is kind of holding up here, there are things that we need to see reprinted in this deck, like the Garden Rose Maiden. If you've not paid attention to Garden Rose Maidens, we've looked at them a couple of times in Market Watch, and we have seen these cards have like $30 price points. And you're like, well, Robbie, it's been reprinted. A Starlight Rare, an Ultra, and a Secret Rare, which, by the way, are already bought out into oblivion for their versions, because people have been wanting to play the Black Rose Dragon deck. We just saw out of Vegas, I think it was this weekend, that there was a Black Rose Dragon deck that was successful. Actually, it might not be Vegas, but it was out of a regional level event that somebody actually said, hey, I'm going to play the Black Rose cards. We're going to try to have success with it, and it did work out. There's a reason why delaying this is just annoying, because you've got cards that are propped up on a pedestal that shouldn't be propped up on a pedestal. Casual players shouldn't have to spend casual players shouldn't have to spend $30 for a Garden Rose Maiden unless you want to do the hollow upgrade. But at the same time, you know, your argument becomes, you know, do we need to, should the common be a cheaper price point? We also don't know what's going to be a hollow in this deck, and we also, looking at secondary market values, we're not going to know what the chibi arts are going to go for either. I think that's my biggest question on this set is, how are the chibi arts going to impact the market? You know, are these things going to actually be worth a couple of dollars? Because right now pre-sales on this deck are $44 a piece on TCG Player. All right, I think MSRP was what, around 30. So you're basically spending all this extra money just to get it shipped to your front door. And I mean, I assume it might be more than a, actually it shouldn't. If not, it's going to be really close to a pound, but even so, it's like $7. So the rest of that's going to fees. So, I mean, technically, if they're selling it on TCG Player, they're still making a pretty handsome profit. And if you're like, well, Robbie, nobody's spending $44. Go on TCG Player and educate yourself right now. Go take a look at the amount of people that are spending $44 a piece on these decks. And I'm wondering, now that this delay has been announced here, if we are actually going to, you know, see a little bit of a shift around here, or if we're just going to kind of see a little bit of a dip off in the market. I guess a possible delay might shift things down a little bit, which would be good news for the consumers if you're one of the people that is wanting to pick these up at a decent price point. But the only real things that matter from this deck are the Mulcharmy reprint. You do care slightly about the Blackwing cards as both an Edison player and as a regular player. Blackwings do have that cool potential. I mean, we're also missing some extra Blackwing support, so I wouldn't be surprised to eventually see some power-ups for that. I mean, we were kind of talking about the possibility over the next set or two we could see some sort of Blackwing stuff, because they just did Yusei. They just did, you know, Jack is supposedly the next theme based on the name, and, you know, Akiza, Yusei, Jack. That leaves Crow, and then, of course, Morphtronic, Friends, and the possibility of Ancient Fairy. But we just got Ancient Fairy literally in December last year, so a lot to kind of unpack with this, but sorry for the delay for this product. I'll be the one to say it, because God knows Konami's not going to be the one to tell you, yeah, we messed up somehow. I don't know how these delays happen, but more power to you, Konami. More power to you. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And, well, I guess you guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons! Thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.